Hello everybody, hopefully you've had a great Sunday so far. Welcome here to LSR for round 4 here in Group 2. Happy to be hosting you today. Once again, glad to be joining you. Vacant Haddock, feel free to also call me Andrew if you would like. But welcome to the Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. We have a sprint weekend this afternoon or evening, depending on where you might be watching from. So we're going to start this off with a little one-shot qualifying. If you missed last weekend, we didn't stream last weekend. However, the victory ended up going to LSR Formula Jonah, followed by Bamboo Vegas and Crooner. Yes, Acid, this is Group 2. Did I say Group 1? But here's the one-shot qualifying underway. We'll go on board with Crooner on this first lap as the drivers shuffle their way through. But Bamboo Vegas currently leads in the drivers as Speedy Gunner already out of this one-shot qualifying as we go now through Radion and Eau Rouge for the first time of, if I'm not mistaken, about 30 trips total around Spa-Francorchamps as Luke 2 Red also as we blast down the Camel Straight to the Lacombe Chicane. Bamboo Vegas leads from Crooner and then Husky as close as we exit Lacombe Chicane and run now down into Bruxelles, I believe. Crooner still holding the lead quite nicely. Going down through No Name now and then down the hill into Pouon. Very solid time from Crooner right now. Also, let me go ahead and pull up the track map and all that data there. But now, heading through campus, it's still Crooner leading from Bamboo Vegas. Husky seemed to have had a spin after being towards the front early on, but it'll be Crooner versus Bamboo as we now come down, as drivers will now all pretty much be blasting down in through Blanchimont, and it's still Crooner as we head down into the bus stop, and as Bamboo Vegas, who has taken over that slight advantage, will stay on board with Crooner, so that way we can see the end of this lap. As they go through the chicane now and onto the exit, very clean from Crooner. Will he secure pole position? He will not. He will be pipped by Bamboo Vegas by less than 0.06 of a second. Very close driving between those two title contenders. And then third will be LGM, followed by Alexis Beast. Formula Jonah, winner last time out in Miami. Worried Cloud in that Aston Martin will be 6th, followed by Viperize, Pizza, and Husky to start this sprint. And then the last two drivers will be Boring, Doge Ligo, Luke 2 Red, and Speedy Gunner. As Husky, as is tradition it seems, will end this qualifying in reverse. So he will start from 9th position. But should be a very interesting Grand Prix here in Spa. Definitely a good chance at inclement weather, though I assume at this point that we will be dry throughout. If you do want to see a Spa Grand Prix with some interesting inclement weather, be sure to check out that the Group 1 race we had just a week ago. We also ran at Canada yesterday. If you want to check those out, be sure to subscribe. Next race here won't be 2 weeks. This is the end of our first little stint of the year. But it's Bamboo Vegas from Crooner by 0.06 of a second. And then LGM about a second adrift, followed by Alexis Beast and Jonah. So now we'll move on to the 8-lap sprint here around Spa-Francorchamps. Should be a very interesting race, as all the Group 2 races that I've had the pleasure of experiencing so far have been. It should be very close up at the top, and should be very close up at the top, and should have decent battles throughout the grid. But 13 drivers on the grid today, and we should see slowly increasing numbers here in Group 2. If you want to get involved with LSR, I believe there will certainly be a link in the description after this fully gets uploaded. And if you're interested in joining right now, I can find a way to drop that link in the chat. Should you be interested in joining as a reserve? So no open slots right now, but we'd be glad to take on reserve drivers for both Group 1 and Group 2. So should be looking at the entire grid here with medium tires on as we start the formation lap. We'd be very surprised to see hard tires on any of the cars, and we in fact do not. So it'll be Bamboo Vegas in the Haas leading the way on this formation lap. Now Bamboo Vegas, as Speedy Gunner gets disqualified, I believe he didn't move, so his tires will be ice cold as the rest of the cars make the long way around this circuit. But to give you an idea of what the standings look like, it's currently Bamboo Vegas who leads our driver standings on 61 points. Crooner is just behind by 1 point with 60. And then it's a long way back to P3 with Reese Foot Gaming also having a 1 point advantage. But this time it's Reese Foot Gaming in the Ferrari who sadly could not make it this week, ahead of LSR Formula Jonah. Danny Stillers then comes in 5th with Husky in 6th. So definitely a mixed up grid. If I remember correctly, Eljam had a nice podium at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So he'll be looking to potentially try and jump Husky. But points are handed out as per normal during a sprint weekend. So it's points for the top 8. So those top 8 drivers will be looking to hold position, and anybody outside there will be looking to jump up that order. Let's come now down through the end of Sector 2. A lot of our attention will certainly be on the Haas and the Red Bull, who will lead the way likely for most of both the sprint and the feature race. And it'll be interesting to see what strategies each driver has gone for in terms of setup, because that's certainly been something of note in both rounds that I've been spectating, is that I believe Bamboo Vegas generally, or I believe Crooner rather, really prefers that lower downforce compared to Crooner, if I'm not mistaken. So it will be interesting to see where they go with this. So as they come through the bus stop chicane to pull up to the grid, we're going to have to pay attention here to see if anybody screws up that parking order as the Haas pulls up into that P1 slot on the inside as they prepare now to get started with this race and run down into La Source. Taking a look at Luke 2 Red, just making sure those tires are right in the window he needs them to be. And he will be the last driver to pull up as Dojligo misparks, and he will start from further back, and it looks like Luke 2 Red in that Williams will do the same as we get ready to go now. And we now have 5 lights, and we're underway here in the sprint at Spa. Decent start from Bamboo Vegas, but looks like a better start from Eljam behind. The AlphaTauri of Alexis Beast looks to the inside as Bamboo Vegas retains through turn 1. It's still, the order stays pretty much the same, all down the order. Slight swapping of places, but now as we run down into Radion and Eau Rouge, it's Worried Cloud ahead of Eljam. As Speedy Gunner already out, he may have disconnected from the game as we now go side by side. Look to go side by side down the Kimmel straight here. Crooner looking around the outside of Bamboo Vegas as they run down here into turns 7, 8, and 9, the Lacombe chicane. And it's Bamboo Vegas retaining the lead from Crooner and Worried Cloud. Eljam is in 4th with Alexis Beast in 5th. Boring is going to be looking to make a move on 6th as Dojligo is out of this race. And it seems he got caught up in an incident with Luke 2 Red as that Williams is behind. But it's a quarter of a second separating the Haas and the Red Bull for the moment as the drivers now single file now through Pouon. Seem to be relatively stable as we continue down here as Boring and Alexis Beast go side by side briefly. The AlphaTauri, I believe, overtaking that Mercedes car. And now it's 1/10 the gap between Bamboo Vegas and Crooner, with Worried Cloud out hot on the heels of both of these drivers. That Haas going to be looking to pull away as they blast down here through Blanchimont and power down now As they come down now into the bus stop, it's Bamboo Vegas that still retains the lead after one lap here at the Belgian GP Sprint. Very close between these top three drivers. As about 3 or 4 tenths separate the drivers, as the Aston Martin looks to get 2 and 1. Can Ward Cloud take the lead? He got Crooner, and now he's side by side with the Haas, edging out ahead as they run down into Radion and Eau Rouge. Ward Cloud will back out as Bamboo Vegas will retain the lead, and the Aston Martin has crashed. Ward Cloud has crashed just over the hill. Oh, and those are almost a great move from that Aston Martin driver. I believe he now has front wing damage, but I certainly saw some sort of damage come there as Luke 2 Red is also out of this race. And Crooner has wing damage. Did he potentially make contact with the Aston Martin car? Or as he runs wide, the AlphaTauri of Alexis Beast will be looking to the inside and now the outside as they come through no name. There's a slight bit of contact, and Elgem will take advantage. That Red Bull going to be stricken with front wing damage as he goes wide now through Pouon, well off the racetrack, and he is going to plummet down this order all the way back down into P8. As Bamboo Vegas will now be looking to possibly pull away a 1.2 second gap from the Haas to the Mercedes behind after Crooner in the Red Bull potentially made contact with Worried Cloud as they went through Radion and Eau Rouge here on lap 2. So look behind Alexis Beast and Boring nose to tail. That Mercedes is right on the gearbox, and the Mercedes is round. Boring has spun and hit the wall. He has no front wing, and he will now be dropping down the order. As Viperize looks at the inside of Husky, who runs deep. But was there contact there to potentially keep in mind as Crooner dives into the pits? But it's a 1.5 second lead for Bamboo Vegas out at the front as we now have DRS enabled. The Red Bull of Crooner and the Mercedes of Boring both pulling into the pits to get those front wings changed and potentially try and claw some points back now. But Bamboo Vegas, the championship leader, perhaps lucking out there in the battle with Worried Cloud, who seems to not have significant damage. Perhaps it was collision on the side. We'll check real quick. There doesn't seem to be any damage on that Aston Martin car. As Alexis Beats has gone round, I was about to switch over to that, but it seems that Alexis Beats and LGM potentially made a collision in that battle for second place. I saw that was close, and sorry I couldn't quite catch that. But that's another big change, as last week's winner, Formula Jonah, now has moved up into second place and will be battling with Viperize to potentially start right alongside Bamboo Vegas once we move into this feature race. Viperize and Husky will also be waiting in the wings should anything else happen, but Bamboo Vegas at this point very much in clear air. A 3.5 second gap already back to Formula Jonah with the chaos that has unfolded behind him as we have a yellow flag that is Viperize round on the exit of Stavolo 2. That Alpine's going to be disappointed, but that does promote Husky 13 in that Ferrari up into third place, and now he can go chasing after Formula Jonah as Boring has had a spin down in campus. So he'll be looking to try and recover any positions at all if he can, as Husky sets a new fastest lap in that Ferrari car with a 1:48.1 as he pursues after that Williams of Formula Jonah. Pizza and Elgem is the closest battle that we have currently as they blast down into Radion and Eau Rouge. It's just about a half a second gap from the McLaren back to Mercedes as they now come down the Kemmel Straight. DRS is going to be open in the back of that Mercedes car, so how much can Elgem make up down this back straight before they get to the hard braking zone of Lake Com? And it's the McLaren still holding that advantage there. As we have a yellow flag, it's Husky, and he is out of this race with a spin right on the exit of the Lecombe chicane. That's going to be majorly disappointing for that Ferrari driver, as he had made a large gap to the cars up at the front, and now we will have a full safety car. So that'll bunch the pack right up, and that'll work right into the hands of Worried Cloud, of Crooner, and of Ya Boring, who had those incidents early on. Viperize and Alexis Beast also with incidents are going to be looking to make gains back up that field. And Bamboo Vegas, again, was able to make a break early on in this race, but is now going to have to bunch up behind the safety car that's now waiting right before Radion and Eau Rouge. It's also going to be an interesting thing to consider. Does anybody consider pitting? Does Bamboo Vegas think he has enough pace to pit for softs and still win this sprint? He will stay out, as will Formula Jonah, who will remain out there in second. Pizza and L-Jam. L-Jam decides to pit potentially for, I would assume, for soft tires, as he got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and that is a major mistake from that Mercedes driver, as the AlphaTauri of Alexis Beast also chooses to pit, as he will likely not lose that many positions, but L-Gem, definitely a big loser from the safety car after speeding in that pit lane. Worried Cloud will stay out. Crooner will pit once again for some fresh soft tires, potentially after not getting his front wing changed. But at the front, it's still Bamboo Vegas from Formula Jonah, from that McLaren of Pizza. So it's going to be very interesting to see how these soft tire runners at the back of this grid potentially pan out and impact the rest of the sprint, because only one driver right now will not walk away from the sprint with points. If that were to finish right now, that would be Crooner, sitting currently in second place in these driver standings, but should certainly make some very decent inroads on those soft tires. And after coming second in qualifying, Viperize just got very close to Jonah and spun and just lost the car there. So very tough luck for Viperize, but luckily enough, he is back into this race now, back into this sprint race. So we should have about 2 laps to go. Should be interesting as well to see how these drivers attempt to make clean overtakes, and they will not have DRS assistance here. Very important thing to note is the safety car certainly will not come in this lap, and it will certainly wait a lap before coming in. So that's a very, very important thing to consider, as Speedy Gunner's controller died, which led to his disqualification here in the sprint race, which means he will start from P13 on the grid. So Speedy Gunner had to run out quickly and find a charger. That probably worked, as Elgin has now retired from the session. What happened to the Did the Mercedes driver just pull off, or did he hit the wall? I'm not sure what happened there, but it seems that it was not due to some sort of contact, and as no penalties have been applied. But now, any drivers who finish this race will receive at least 1 point here. So it'll be very interesting to see how these drivers take these last, likely 2 laps of this sprint race. He's now at the field bunched up behind the safety car, behind that Aston Martin safety car. Will be very interesting. Elgem was potentially one of the drivers as well that was looking to jump up a few positions on those fresh soft tires. So very big miss there. And certainly disappointing for the Mercedes driver. With the pace that he showed, I could certainly see him making up a number of places in the feature race. Formula Jonah, again, somebody to watch out for. A race winner now in LSR Group 2. Could potentially put some pressure on Bamboo Vegas, who wasn't breaking away very much from the rest of the pack that was forming behind him on those opening laps. Had about 4 or 5 cars within a second or 2 of the Haas. So it should make for a very interesting sprint, as the pack is now bunched right back up nose to tail. Certainly, if you were betting on this, you would not want to take your money and put it on anybody but Bamboo Vegas, considering his position currently, as they now come through Puon. Safety car should be coming in at the end of this lap, so definitely stick with us. Again, this is the sprint race here at Spa in Group 2 of LSR before we move into the 22-lap feature race. As I believe the safety car should be in this lap. Speedy Gunner saying that he's almost certainly done for not having a setup. As the safety car is in this lap, certainly I hope that you can have some good luck in the race, Speedy, despite having the bad luck with the controller early on, as the Aston Martin safety car will now peel off as the cars now come into Blanchimont. All the medium runners are going to be looking to weave to keep as much heat in those medium tires as they possibly can. Well, we've got 8 cars left in the sprint with 2 laps to go. So let's see who wins this sprint race, as Bamboo Vegas goes very early before getting into the bus stop. He's going to look to get a jump. I don't believe he's been successful, though, as Formula Jonah has managed to stick with him nicely. And here we go as they cross the line now and go down into the hairpin at La Source. It's still Bamboo Vegas that will retain the lead by just about half a second, and it's clean through that first corner as Worried Cloud seems to have had an incident at the come. He is now dropped to the back of the field as Bamboo Vegas now 4.5 tenths separate back to Formula Jonah as they come down the Camel Straight now. The Haas followed by that Williams car, and the Haas is pulling away just ever so slightly as they come now into the Lacombe chicane, and it seems that these two have already pulled a small gap back to Pizza. Can they potentially pull away and finish 1-2? Could Jonah potentially capitalize on any little Bamboo Vegas mistake? As yellow flag in Sector 2 is Worried Cloud is out of this race. He potentially had an incident similar to how we saw Husky spin out earlier on. Further down the grid, Alexis Beast, Boring, and Crooner are all very close together. And it seems that the Red Bull and the Mercedes are very close to coming together as they run through Puon now. But they seem to hold position for the moment, potentially waiting until this back straight and the exit of 16 to make a move. But it's Viperize looking on Alexis Beats as we have 4 cars so close together here at the back of that pack as we look at them come through now. 2 wide, potentially 3 wide as they come down the back straight as Alexis Beats and Viperize swapping positions. It's the AlphaTauri taking the lead. Can they go 3 wide here as the Mercedes is spun round? Was there contact there between the Red Bull and the Mercedes cars as Alexis Beast takes 4th position, but loose there on the exit? Can the Alpine take advantage as Bamboo Vegas sets a new fastest lap? Alexis Viperize is going to be looking right on his tail as they come down into La Source. This is the final lap of the sprint race as the AlphaTauri spins, and that's 3 cars spun round. There's major front wing damage there. I believe the AlphaTauri got loose on the exit, and there was absolutely nowhere for Viperize and Crooner to go. So these cars will have to limp back to the pit lane as Boring dives into the pit lane. Could he potentially try and make an inroad? I think he's too far back to potentially take any points out of this, but it's currently Bamboo Vegas, followed by Formula Jonah, who have made a jump right away from Pizza at the front of this sprint race. Of course, Jonah looking for any mistake here from Bamboo Vegas to try and claw that little bit of time back. 6 tenths separate the Haas and the Williams out here at the front, as now they come through Puon for the last time here in this sprint. Still half a second separates the 2 cars, as Crooner receives a 3-second time penalty. No lights flashing at the back, so these drivers will be deploying all the energy they can as they run down into the bus stop chicane as they exit now out of turn 16 at Stabilo 2. It's a 6.5 second gap for Bamboo Vegas, who seemingly cannot be stopped on this sprint. Formula Jonah will have 1 shot. Can he get close enough here on this final lap? It seems that he will not, as they go into the bus stop for the last time. Can Bamboo Vegas keep it clean now, under traction, And that he will. So it will be Bamboo Vegas taking the sprint from Formula Jonah in P2, who will secure the fastest lap. Pizza will hang on to secure P3. Alexis Beast, after a major incident with Viperize and Crooner, will survive to finish P4. Viperize will come in 5th, just behind after penalties are applied. Crooner will come to finish in 6th. The second place man in the championship will be ruining that one after having a couple of early incidents, including one with potentially colliding with Worried Cloud through Radion and Eau Rouge. And it's Boring finishing off the finishers of this sprint race, and will come in 7th in that Mercedes. Okay, so certainly a very interesting sprint race to watch, as Formula Jonah is the driver of the sprint. Great drive from the Williams, from the man for Williams. But it's Bamboo Vegas from Formula Jonah from Pizza. Word Cloud does seem to get a point here, even though he was a non-finisher. He believe he made it far enough in that sprint race to secure that lone point. But as we move down as we'll be moving into that sprint now, I believe. I don't have a countdown. I'm not sure if this is a bug of any sort, but we may be waiting on somebody to hit continue. But it'll certainly be interesting. So here's your results for the sprint race. Certainly a great showing from Bamboo Vegas. Darkest Gooner is Worried Cloud. Good to know. But yeah, should be getting on here with the feature race shortly. I'm certainly confused. I don't know if we'll be getting started shortly. Let me check some things real quick, and I will let you know. There we go. There's the countdown. Okay, very good. So should have all 13 drivers here getting ready to go for this 22-lap feature race around Spa. There was a big incident between Viperize, Alexis, and Crooner that very much set the chaos off. But it'll certainly be interesting to see what the drivers at the front decide to make, how the drivers up at the front decide to make their strategy call, and how some of the quicker drivers at the back, towards the back, specifically Crooner down in P7, it'll certainly be interesting to see how he potentially tries to rebound from a sprint that certainly didn't go as well as would have hoped. Alexis was spinning and then had made contact. So definitely sure to be an interesting feature race. Certainly be interested to see what tires the drivers look to choose here for the feature race. Hard tires, probably one of the better choices compared to another circuit to start on, as you'll just have so much time to be able to try and get those tires into the correct operating window. But looking at those tires, it's mediums all down the grid. The one exception is Husky, starting in P10 on the hard compound of tire, but Speedy Gunner, luckily we have him back after having the controller charger issue. So he'll be looking to potentially make up some points there, as I believe that is Luke 2 Red in the Williams spinning at the Lacombe chicane. Or not the... Sorry, the Source hairpin. I'm sorry, I'm not good with names. Please excuse me. But it should be very interesting. Again, Bamboo Vegas versus Formula Jonah late on in that race was certainly something to look out for. How long can the Williams stick with that Haas? Could drivers like Crooner or Elgem, who very much struggled in that sprint, look to potentially climb back up to where they finished the one-shot qualifying in second and third, respectively? How Husky's strategy work out is another thing to consider. Those hard tires likely to last until about lap 14, I would assume. Looking to probably take those tires to a lap about 12 or 13. But again, all eyes on the championship leader currently of Bamboo Vegas. And then we got the predicted stop strategy powered by AWS. Medium to hard one stops likely to be the way to go for the majority of this field, looking to make those pit stops on about lap 10 to 12. And again, I think it's pretty easy to assume that we'll have a fully dry race here around Spa, considering that none of the drivers have popped into chat to let me know. But it's certainly something to watch out for. We do run the weather prediction, but it's a bright sunny day here in Spa as Bamboo Vegas the first down into the bus stop chicane now. And they'll be looking to park that Haas in a good position to avoid that Williams trying to jump him down into turn number 1. So here's Bamboo Vegas looking to get a good park up here. Solid from the Haas. Crooner, Boring, and Worried Cloud all disqualified, or at least put back on the grid, as Luke 2 Red does the same and messes up parking there. But once again, we now have 5 red lights, and we're once again underway for the feature race here at Spa, and it's the Alpha Tauri of Alexis Beast getting an amazing start, looking to the inside of the hairpin into turn 1. He takes the lead, and the Haas of Bamboo Vegas loses the back end, and there's chaos behind. The Mercedes of Elgem and Viperize are caught up in the spinning Haas car, and it's Husky and Bamboo Vegas going side by side, and they make contact, and there's damage to the Haas. And now it's Alexis Beast and it's Jonah with a 5-second penalty for corner cutting and gaining a place. And it's Alexis Beast leading down into turn 1. It's Crooner, who's made an amazing gain from P7 back up into P2. And it's followed by the McLaren of Pizza, the Mercedes of Boring, the Formula Jonah and the Williams has dropped back into 5th after starting 2nd. Speedy Gunner has a great start into 6th. And that's Pizza loose and tagging Boring, who moves up into 3rd. Speedy Gunner is going to go around the outside of Formula Jonah, down through No Name now. As they blast down into Puon, it's the Alfa Romeo ahead of the Williams, as Luke 2 Red seems to have problems. He got loose at one point, as Bamboo Vegas and Elgem continue to battle. So there's a very tight pack, but Alexis Beats has already made a decent jump in that Alpha Tauri with a 1.5 second back to Crooner. And Formula Jonah going to be, as the Mercedes of Boring has spun, he is out of this race. And there is a full safety car already in the chaos of lap 1. It's on the exit of Stabilo 2 and potentially Cours Pro Frere that we have our first crash, our first DNF, and our first safety car. And it's Boring that has now caused it to happen. Alright, well that was a crazy lap 1. The fortunes of Crooner and Bamboo Vegas changing completely based on what happened in that sprint. As Bamboo Vegas, Luke 2 Red, and Viperize all look to pull into the pit lane here. That's certainly needing a front wing change. I believe that's hard tires for the Alpine. Certainly hard tires on the Williams. And I would assume the same on the Haas. That it is. So it seems that front wing changes for both the Haas and the Alpine. Speedy asking how is he still here, likely after some of that chaos that collected so many cars down into turn number 1. But it's a Lexus Beast with an amazing start from P4, leading the way from Crooner and taking a look at some of the detail, some of the position change. Alexis up 3 spots, Crooner up 4. He actually finished 6th. Speedy Gunner, the big winner from that. He's currently from P13 all the way up into P4 after struggling with some charger issues and going without a setup for this race. Formula Jonah, one of the big losers there. He has a 5-second penalty and is now back into 5th. Husky on those hard tires has made some nice gains up into 6th, with Doge Ligo also following him and finding his way up into 7th. But the big losers are the Alpine of Viperize and the Haas of Bamboo Vegas, who started on pole for this race, the championship leader and winner of the sprint, very much getting caught up and being tagged by multiple cars after having to run a little bit wide after a fairly aggressive move from Alexis Beast into turn 1, potentially got a little bit wide on the exit of La Source, and just could not get on the power and could not get out of the way of the other cars. But some of these strategy changes are certainly going to be very interesting now. Husky certainly going to be looking to make those hard tires last. Now as we come down into the bus stop chicane, taking a look down the grid, there doesn't seem to be any damage visible on any of these other cars, despite the chaos that happened down into turn 1. I believe all the cars that had some sort of damage found a way to get it fixed. So certainly going to have at least one more lap under safety car, perhaps 2 now, as we start lap number 3 of 22. And it's the number 37 leading the way. So it's going to be very interesting to see, as Husky's out. Husky has retired from the session. Did he do that in the pit lane? What happened to Husky? As Luke Tourette with a severe collision with Bamboo Vegas, that's a major penalty. What happened to the Ferrari car? Did he lose it? Potentially trying to get heat into those hard tires, which must have been ice cold at this point in the race after not being able to really get them into a proper operating window out on that first lap, as it was not able to be fully completed. That's just going to be very frustrating for that Ferrari driver, who's in a solid position as they continue, as after the start of this race. We also had an issue in the sprint race that's to him DNFing in that one as well. So it's the AlphaTauri and the Red Bull that lead the way now, down to 11 cars after Yaboring lost it on the exit of turn number 16 here, around the circuit swab, brought out the safety car, and Husky was crashing into the wall at the exit of the La Source hairpin, just trying to get some heat into those tires. So we see the drivers weaving around, trying to get as much heat as they can possible. I'm going to go ahead and pull Husky in here real quick and see what he potentially has to say. Let me talk with you in chat, Husky, because I believe we're about to get underway shortly. As Dorcas Gunner, who, if I'm not mistaken, is Worried Cloud, has his ERS stuck on, so that seems to be an issue. That's very much like a career mode issue, where his ERS has now been stuck on. But now it's the Aston Martin safety car that has peeled away, so the pack is now under the control of Alexis Beast's AlphaTauri. To weave their way as they come through Blanchimont. Unless that was the turn before and I'm mistaken there. As they come down to the bus stop chicane, the AlphaTauri leaving it very late to go through there. And now we are back underway now here in Spa, and the Red Bull has lost it under traction. Crooner, one of the big gainers from that safety car, has spun out and now drops all the way to the back of the field. Speedy Gunner potentially looking to overtake Pizza now as he goes and overtakes the McLaren car. And he was a major winner at that. He started the back. He's now in P2 in that Alfa Romeo car. Alexis Beast already making headway. 2 seconds clear of any of the cars behind him as Formula Jonah and Doge Ligo overtake Pizza as they come down the Kemmel straight now. Looking to be 3 wide here as they go down into the chicane. And it's the Williams that actually overtakes Speedy Gunner as they now go down into the chicane. So Formula Jonah looking to make a lot of recovery and potentially chase now after Alexis Beast. As we have a yellow flag, that's Luke 2 Red, I believe, who's round on the exit of that on the chicane there. Very frustrating for the Williams teammate now, as Doge Ligo and Worried Cloud now very close to get together. The Aston Martin's doing in some of the best positions as a team right now, as they come through Puon. Can Worried Cloud potentially overtake Speedy Gunner as they come now into campus, and it's the Alfa Romeo that currently stays ahead of the Aston Martin. A 1 second gap already ahead to Formula Jonah. As they come through, you'll hear the Aston Martin running that little bit wide, but managing to keep it under control. And they're the light already blinking at the back of that bright green car, as here comes his teammate, Doge Ligo. Doge Ligo's looking to the inside now. Worried Cloud runs a little bit wide and is able to keep the position down now into the bus stop. Pizza is also waiting to the wings, and the McLaren tags the Aston Martin of Doge Ligo, who is round. Pizza dropping down the order. He has to dive into the pit lane. Bamboo Vegas is continuing to fight. Crooner has managed to make a recovery back up into P6 now, but it's still Alexis Beast leading the way from Formula Jonah, who will now go and chase after him. Speedy Gunner. Just give me a second. There's been plenty of chaos going on, so I just want to keep up with it. As Speedy Gunner now with the Aston Martin of Worried Cloud behind him, and as they power down the Kemmel straight now, can the Aston Martin make use of Slipstream, looking to the inside of the chicane. Little bit of contact there. Let's see how they come through side by side now, and it's the Alfa Romeo that retains the position. But the Aston Martin not done yet, and he spun out on the exit. He's into the gravel on the exit there. Oh, look, the Lacombe chicane. The Aston Martin going to be with a massive, massive mistake there, which promotes Crooner up into P5. After having to spin on the restart, he's going to be looking to chase after the Alpine of Viperize now. One sec, let me pull in. Let me see if I can pull in Husky quickly. Alright, let's see. Just going to pull in Husky here. I apologize if I am missing. Just give me a second. Hello, Husky. It's definitely a tough race for you today, as we have Viperize going around the outside of Crooner now, as they're both behind the Alfa Romeo.
Oh,
as the Alpine is round of Viperize, he will be without a wing. Didn't seem to be any contact there, as we now have another safety car. Luke 2 Red is out on this race in a very similar place to where Boring made a mistake earlier in this race. He seems to have gone to the outside, though, as Elgem receives a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, as all these drivers will dive into the pits here on lap 6.
Elgem getting a new front wing?
Yes, definitely after having that incident there. But 10 drivers left in this race now.
Yeah, I came out of turn 1 still in first gear and was paying attention to my going. And
yep. Certainly what it seemed like here on commentary. But definitely
pretty good race.
Definitely a rough mistake because you're running fairly high up. It looks like soft tires on the Alpine of Viperize is now probably good to take a look at some of the tires. So the leaders of Alexis Beast, Formula Jonah, and Speedy Gunner, all on medium tires as of right now. Bamboo Vegas and Crooner are currently sitting 1-2 in the championship, setting in P4 and 5 on hards. Crooner's, of course, being fresh with the Aston Martin of Doge Ligo also behind on those hard tires. And the back four of LGM, Pizza, Viperize, and Worried Cloud, all looking to make some gains on those fresh, soft tires, with the exception of Pizza's being only 1 lap old. But certainly Alexis Beast making that move into turn 1 to go from P4 to P1. A great start from the AlphaTauri driver who has led since.
Yeah, but I was just in the party, of course, with Jonah and let's see, Elgin and Speedy Gunner, as we were just talking about with the race, as we usually do. And Elgin and Speedy not seeming too fond of Alexis Beast's driving, and who was it then? I think Elgin wasn't too happy with Viperize driving, I think.
Got you. There were certainly a number of incidents there, as Alexis Beast, Formula Jonah, and Speedy Gunner all pull into the pit lane now to fit those hard compound tires. Since they jumped the safety car, they can certainly afford to do that.
5-second penalty.
And Jonah will serve that 5-second penalty that he gained for cutting a corner and overtaking on lap 1.
Which was a weird incident, as he somehow overtook Bamboo when Bamboo had spun round, and Jonah got a 5-second penalty for that, for overtaking Bamboo when he was off track.
So it's currently the championship leader, Bamboo Vegas, who now once again leads this race. Definitely had a big issue being caught up in an incident on lap 1, I believe with a little bit of contact with you, Husky, as you went through Radion and Eau Rouge, just kind of some side-on contact that was left with some damage.
That might have been. I sent it fully through Eau Rouge after he had some trouble through through turn 1.
It's certainly been an interesting race so far. Should be getting back going with about 13 laps to go, so it'll certainly be interesting. The hard tires will certainly make it to the end, but for some of these soft tire runners, it'll certainly be a question of when do they pull the trigger to make that second stop, because the soft tires will definitely not make it that whole 13-lap period. So should have one more lap under the Aston Martin safety car now, as we wait for Worried Cloud to close back up to the pack. It's definitely going to be interesting to see where Crooner goes from here. Obviously, after having a big incident late on in that feature race, or late on in the sprint race, sorry, where he got caught up in a bit of a 3-car pileup there. It'll certainly be interesting to see where the strategy goes from here, and if we have any more safety cars after already being on our 3rd total of the weekend, after having one in the sprint race, and now this being the 2nd of the full feature race. Speedy complaining about the audio glitch, which is certainly a pain to have.
Yeah.
Hopefully EA and Codemasters are getting on fixing it, though.
They'll probably focus more on the cosmetics than on the actual game. So.
Sadly, that is probably the truth. So.
Yeah.
But we can at least hope.
I'm wondering where Jonah will go after, of course, having a pretty good race at Miami last week, winning the race, of course.
Yes.
I'm wondering if he can make it a double.
Of course, he can. He certainly has a good shot of making it back-to-back victories here in Group 2 after getting his first ever in LSR last weekend. Again, sadly, no stream from that just because we had a very limited amount of people. But he was certainly able to keep pace with Bamboo Vegas late on in that sprint race.
Yeah.
So
he should be able to just get Alexis Beast on pace in general after the restart, if he has a good start, that is.
So it will certainly be interesting to see the tactics. Will Bamboo Vegas go as early as Crooner, or will he wait till just on the exit of the bus stop, similar to how Alexis did? Certainly something very interesting to consider, as well as how much temperature can the front six get into those hard tires before the restart.
Yeah, with the soft runners, of course, going for a really good launch, hopefully, once the safety car restart. Just wondering when they actually, like you said, go to a new set of tires, because these softs won't make it to the end.
That's certainly
the tire roll will be very high.
That's certainly something to consider. Viperize, certainly complaining in chat, potentially has some of the Ferrari strategy team in his ear as he's complaining about, as he's asking why he decided to go to the softs, considering that the deck is so high. But we now have the safety car in this lap, so Bamboo Vegas now has control once again of the pack. So certainly will not be able to go due to the in-game limiter until that safety car pulls into the pit lane, but that pack very, very tight together. As the safety car is now about to pull into the pit lane, and the pack is now fully Bamboo Vegas's. And now as they come down
there
into
he goes.
As now we come down into the bus stop, and we are back underway here in Spa, and it's fairly clean from the Haas. Not a great jump away from that Alpha Tauri behind him, but certainly far enough ahead to be able to retain the lead down into turn number 1. The pack all staying fairly static, except for Elgem, who manages to make an overtake in 6th, as goes Ligo, already dropping down the order, as he has also lost a position to Pizza, but further up the order, it's Bamboo Vegas still with the 3/10 advantage over Lexus Beast as they come down the Camel Straight now. Yeah. And Ghost Ligo is able to make a little bit of an inroad back up and is able to retake that 6th position from Elgem as Viperize and Pizza continue to battle. Down the order is Speedy Gunner gets a track limit. Gets a penalty due to track limits. But the pack has stayed pretty much the same from that restart, as that Alfa Romeo Speedy Gunner running a little bit wide there right before No Name. Still very close, though, between all of these drivers as they now come through Pouhon. It's a 3/10 gap from the Haas back to the Alpha Tauri as they come now into Campus and prepare down into Stavelo. So it'll certainly be very interesting to watch as we have about 5 cars separated by a second and a half, and Speedy Gunner, I believe, has gone round. He has. That's a reset the track from the Alfa Romeo car. But he'll be looking to recover potentially from that P10 as he is spun again. And the Alfa Romeo Speedy Gunner is spun again, potentially struggling with tire heat as Pizza and Word Cloud very close together as they blast now down into the bus stop in the battle for P8. Aston Martin looking potentially around the outside, but not quite going to get it, as the McLaren of Pizza will pull into the pits already. But it's Bamboo Vegas already now with a 1.5 gap to Alexis Beast behind, and Crooner and Formula Jonah now side by side after Jonah gets a poor exit out of La Source. Then it's the Red Bull, the man who's currently second place in the championship, moves back up into P3. Come down to Kemmel Straight again. Jonah's going to be looking to potentially fight back, but is not going to be able to quite make anything happen. So it's one point.
Crooner just sets the purple circular 1 as well.
Yep. So certainly something to consider as Pizza gets a 3-second time penalty, potentially as due to him struggling to get those hard tires into a good window to be able to work as he comes to the end of Sector 1 and down the Kemmel Straight. But that Haas seemingly running a lot less downforce than the AlphaTauri behind, as Alexis has been able to pull 3/10 back as they come now down into Stavelo forward as they go through there for the 10th time in this race and come back down. It's still fairly static throughout most of the grid, but Crooner certainly making a lot of auto pace, Back to the AlphaTauri of Alexis as he goes to the inside, takes to the grass and is left almost no space, but he's still going to go to the inside. It's the AlphaTauri that retains the position. As Worried Cloud has had an issue back in Paul Frere, but it's currently the Red Bull of Crooner that stays in third, and the AlphaTauri is round, and they've made contact. They've made contact. There's a Lexus that went round and did not ghost in time. So Crooner went right into the back of him, and that promotes Formula Jonah back up into second place, and I believe has left that Red Bull with wing damage, and yes, that left end plate is missing from the Red Bull, who is now going to be certainly struggling back around to the pits. This has been a terrible day, a very unlucky day for Crooner in that Red Bull, as Alexis Beast has to cut Eau Rouge and Radion in order to make it through, potentially while dealing with damage. But it's Doge Ligo and Formula Jonah then, the quickest battle out, or the closest battle out on track. The Williams car definitely had an up and down race so far, but is currently where he finished that sprint race in P2. Well, certainly between him, Doge Ligo, and Elgem potentially for that second podium position. But that should fall into a point now for Bamboo Vegas where he can sit out in front and control this race. Very good so far from the Williams. The Aston Martin just half a second back as they come down this back straight now. Of course, the Mercedes of Elgem just right, not too far behind, and should be looking to make a move. Will the Aston Martin be looking for a move at the bus stop chicane? He will not be quite close enough to make that happen,
into pit lane,
as Elgem will box off of those soft tires, likely to go to hards or mediums until the end. We'll have to see.
Viperize in as well.
Yeah, Viperize in, as well as Crooner to get that front wing changed and potentially swap over to those medium tires and claw back as many points as he can. So it's medium tires, I believe, for all three drivers, except for Elgem, who has gone to those hard tires. Viperize cleaning up 53% wear after just 5 laps on those soft tires, as Doge Ligo with DRS takes advantage and overtakes the Williams of Formula Jonah and moves up into P2 in that Aston Martin. Yeah. Going to be looking to chase after Bamboo Vegas has now further down the order. Speed Gunner and Viperize likely to be going at it as they go down the Kemmel Straight. It's the Alpine to the inside on those fresh medium tires. He's going to be a length cleared, and as they come down to the Lacombe chicane, it'll be the Alpine up into P5.
It's of course some very standard DRS moves on the Kemmel Straight with the amount of slipstream you have there. So it isn't too special, but yeah, it's been some very close racing after the safety car restart here.
Of course. But it's going to be Doge Ligo, and it's a 3.2 second gap ahead to Bamboo Vegas, who's already run 10 laps on those hard compound tires. So can those tires last the rest of the race is certainly a question that will be on a lot of drivers' minds right now. Of course, Viperize struggling with tire wear after just 5 laps. But granted, those were on the soft tires. But how much might Bamboo Vegas struggle as he sets a new fastest lap that is gone faster immediately by Doge Ligo by almost a second. That is a 147.6 from the Aston Martin, who's going to be looking to chase after the Haas and potentially take this win. Come down the Kemmel Straight now. The gap, which I believe is 3.3 seconds, the last time I mentioned it earlier on lap 12, is already down to 2.7 from the Aston Martin to the Haas. Obviously, the tires on that Aston Martin being about 4 laps newer will certainly help out Dodoligo's chances of potentially pulling out a win here for the Aston Martin team, as his teammate Word Cloud has certainly struggled today, sitting back in P10.
Yes, Jonah made a mistake, maybe? Because he's already fallen back 2.4 seconds to Dodolingo.
He certainly hasn't made a major mistake. I don't believe he's made a major mistake. I certainly didn't notice the time go up considerably, but it certainly could be a choice in setup or any number of
that might be it.
Any number of factors, because there certainly doesn't seem to be damage to that Williams car, though he does seem to be keeping at least a respectable pace to the cars in front of him. But it's still Bamboo Vegas that leads the way in that Haas as we begin lap 14 of 22. Just 9 laps to go now as they cross the line. As Dojligo has made a mistake. And he's around again after having an incident on the exit of the bus stop chicane. He's going to fall all the way back into 4th after potentially struggling with traction out of there. That'll be a big mistake that the Aston Martin driver will be looking to remedy as this race continues, as there seems to be a 3-way battle for 6 now between Speedy Gunner, Pizza, and Crooner, as the Red Bull going to be looking around the outside on the exit. He's going to have a good run and good look into the turn 1 here. Both drivers with DRS open. It's the Red Bull who's out ahead of the McLaren and takes 7th place. And now both drivers can go chasing after the Alfa Romeo Speedy Gunner, who's had a respectable race so far after struggling with some charger issues and only being able to really take part in this feature race. You can see Crooner get a brief penalty for track limits, but certainly the Red Bull showing some great pace right now. But again, the story right now is the Haas way out in front as we go back. Speedy Gunner, and it's going to be Crooner looking to the inside as they go through Bruxelles now. Can he make the move stick on those fresh medium tires as they come on the exit into No Name? And there's a little bit of contact between the Alfa Romeo and the Red Bull as they go through No Name. They're going to go down into Pouon now, and the Alfa Romeo may have ceded position to that Red Bull, and Crooner moves up into 6th place and can now go after Viperize and the Alpine. So we'll continue to stay here with that Alfa Romeo, who's going to become increasingly a threat from Pizza and L-Gem behind. Both drivers are going to be looking to make a move here, but Bamboo Vegas has been able to stretch the gap out to 5.5 seconds as we start lap 15 here. Dojligo obviously
looking very comfortable when he got back into P1.
Certainly, as he's been able to
looking for a move around the outside of Blanchimont on Speedy Gunner.
And he's going to look into the chicane. Can he make the move stick on the exit here? He can. A little bit of contact, and it's L-Gem through, a la Lewis Hamilton from Silverstone just a few weeks ago. And it's the opportunistic move from the Mercedes that allows him up into P7. And it's going to be the McLaren and the Alfa Romeo that are going to continue fighting. Switch back now as they run down into Radion and Eau Rouge, potentially. But the McLaren just can't quite get enough on the power, and will have to tuck in behind. But he will have a DRS here as they come down through the Camel Straight. Pulls right into that gearbox. Looks around the outside. DRS now wide open in the back of that McLaren. And he's well and truly through and can potentially try and go chase after and pass L-Gem. Definitely a great battle there and some great opportunistic driving from the Mercedes.
Yeah, he saw a gap open up and he said, let's go for it, and just...
Oh, it's Viperize's round. Viperize's round, I believe that's on the exit of No Name, which will promote a bunch of drivers up, and there's damage to the Alpine car. Certainly a major struggle as Alexis Beast is also out of this session. That was a crash in almost the same way we saw Ya Boring and Luke 2 Red Wreck earlier, and we now have a third safety car, and we have the Delta bug, where all the cars have dropped, and Bamboo Vegas was not able to miss the pit lane. But we now have a ton of penalties. Worried Cloud receiving a drive-through for Delta infringement. Did L-Gem also receive a drive-through? Let's pull up the penalties here to see that. So L-Gem and Worried Cloud both receiving drive-through penalties due to the bug with the Delta, where it's incredibly high.
Jonah's going to the softs. He's gonna try and make that to the last to the end now then. Because with the
Certainly,
safety car, the
just a
tire wears, of course, lost.
just of course, just a few laps to go here, and the big loser in this exchange is the current leader of Bamboo Vegas. When that safety car got thrown, he was just past the pit lane entry, so he could not dive in for a fresh set of tires. So he's likely going to have to do that once the cars come around again, and potentially try and make all those positions back that he will lose. But everybody, Elgem elects to stay out, at least for the moment, as his hard tires are
gonna try and make it till the end, not
as
gonna
yes,
try and
as
give
his,
up any position at this point.
yes, as his hard tires are relatively fresh compared to a lot of the cars that were on hard tires, specifically Bamboo Vegas on those 14-lap old hard tires behind the safety car. Viperize very, very happy that that safety car got thrown as he comes out on some lightly used hard tires after using up the softs early on in the race. Worried Cloud also on soft tires but has a drive-through that he will need to serve. Speedy Gunner saying the race is weird. I don't think... This race has certainly been an interesting one, as was yesterday in Canada. If you wouldn't mind, when you're done watching this, potentially going and giving that a watch, and potentially dropping a like and a subscription from that video as well. As Viperize receives a 3-second time penalty while trying to get those tires warmed up. But it's going to be very interesting to see what... Go ahead.
Yeah, it seems like coming onto the back straight into Blanchimont, it seems like a very fun spot to DNF, as a lot of people go out over the curb and
certainly
that's too early on throttle, so they spin out.
Certainly,
I see it happen a lot, not just...
Yes, of course, as Bamboo Vegas now having to pull into the pits here, definitely the decision that had to be made from the Haas car, likely to come out maybe ahead. Speedy watched Husky's video. He's not watching the LSR version. Certainly something to consider as Elgem now pulls into the pit lane. Is he serving the drive-thru now? I believe he's serving his drive-thru. Because I don't...
No, he has gone off to the softs. You can do
he has gone on the softs? Okay.
Car.
Yeah,
don't forget, he still has to do his drive-thru after, so he loses a lot of time.
Of course, definitely figured that was the case, but just wanted to make sure of that being the fact. So now it's Formula Jonah leading the way from Dodoligo, and then Crooner and Bamboo Vegas, the two drivers currently leading the championship. The gap between them has now increased to 6 or 7 points after that sprint race. Staying in P3 and P4. The Mercedes of Elgem, obviously having that drive-through, which is very disappointing, is sitting in P5. And then you have Pizza, Speedy Gunner, Viperize, and Worried Cloud all behind. So 9 drivers left after Alexis Beats dropped it on the exit of Stavolo 2. So certainly going to be interesting to consider how this race continues to pan out. Again, looking at the tires, only one not on soft tires is Viperize on those hard tires. Will certainly gain 1 position from when Elgem serves that drive-through penalty.
Yeah.
And then we'll...
Yeah, it would have been a fun run to actually race, but of course I had to DNF in the beginning, which is...
Of course. But another thing to consider as the safety car now will come in this lap and Formula Jonah takes control of the pack, as how long do these soft tires last? Elgem, I believe it was Elgem, complaining earlier about Viperize rather, complaining about a lot of wear in just 5 laps on those soft tires. And of course, after having a couple laps under safety car, there's going to be a little bit of wear just by virtue of keeping heat into them. So it'll be certainly interesting to see how that continues, and if we potentially could see any punctures late on in this race. But it's the number 88 Williams coming out of the bus stop now, and there's contact with from the Aston Martin behind as the Williams is away clean as they come down into turn 1. Already an 8/10 gap and a great jump from Formula Jonah in the Williams. Can he make it 2 times? As there's some shuffling further down the order between Speedy Gunner Pizza and Viperize. There's a 1-second gap now back behind. The Haas and the Red Bull of Crooner and Bamboo Vegas going to likely be going at it as this race continues. As they come down the Kemmel Straight now, it's a 6/10 gap from Doge Ligo back to Formula Jonah. We saw an overtake like this early when Doge Ligo had the assistance of DRS, but he will not get through this time, and it's about a half-second gap between the 2 cars.
So Belgium just went into the pits for his drive-through penalty, and it seems like it didn't count it because he still has it.
It did not serve that drive-through penalty. That is correct. So I guess you have to wait a lap to serve that drive-through penalty after the safety car. You cannot go and serve it immediately, which is certainly going to be a pain for the Mercedes driver. His evening going from bad to worse. As Bamboo Vegas seems to have made a major mistake as he's fallen well off the Red Bull, well behind the Red Bull. He was about 2/10 back as they went into the Lacombe chicane. He's now a few seconds back. Is there damage to the Haas car? Who seems to be losing? There is.
Up for a move.
And there's damage to Bamboo Vegas' Haas as the right side of the end plate is gone. As Crooner going to be looking potentially to make a move on Doda Ligo. Important to remember, he has a 3-second time penalty, so he's going to have to pull pretty far out ahead of the rest of the pack as we come to start lap number 19, as Crooner will set the fastest lap of the race with a 146.5, but the front 3 within 1 second of each other as we start this lap 19 with 4 to go. Worried Cloud and LGM now serve their drive-thrus, so they will be able to finish this race, but it's a 4/10 gap between the Williams.
Viperize off.
As Viperize is off, and he's out of this race. As Doja Ligo looks to the inside as they come through the chicane now. Can Formula Jonah retain this lead? As Doja Ligo takes the lead of the Belgian Grand Prix, the Williams pushed a little bit wide, and the Red Bull will move up into P2. Viperize losing the car through Radion and Eau Rouge and being knocked out of this race. And now Doda Ligo that leads from Crooner, and he's going to have to certainly defend fairly hard, and Formula Jonah will certainly be looking to potentially make a move back up into that lead that he held at the safety car restart. But that Red Bull is right on the rear, and it's the McLaren of Pizza who's around and in the gravel. I believe that's Campus. As we now have Crooner now looking to potentially make a move on the Aston Martin down into the bus stop chicane. As they come through now, is he going to look to the inside or the outside? As he pulls up closer, hard braking now, pull right up to the back, and he will stick with him as Pizza seems to be continually struggling with whatever tires he has on. As DRS has now been enabled, so that'll give Crooner in that Red Bull a potential shot at overtaking the Aston Martin. Will the Aston Martin consider playing DRS chicken? He will not for right now. He will retain the lead as they make the run down the hill into Radion and Eau Rouge. Formula Jonah behind, also within DRS range of the Red Bull. So we now have a move
down. Jonah is going to want to stick with this group because as soon as Crooner is gone past Doda Ligo, he will probably get a 3-second gap. He will try and make a 3-second gap to get rid of his penalty.
Of course, as there is the pass down the Kemmel Straight, Crooner retakes the lead of the Belgian Grand Prix with just about 2.5 laps to go.
And he's already made an 8/10 gap as well to Doda Ligo.
The Aston Martin showing some decent pace earlier, but Crooner will look to run away with this and potentially, and I believe, retake the lead in the championship should everything hold the same.
He already made a 1.3 second gap. There's a big chance he's going to be like 3 seconds ahead at lap 21.
Certainly, but it's certainly interesting to see how the Aston Martin does on the back straight. Of course, no DRS here as Kruner sets a best lap time of the session in that middle sector. It'll certainly be interesting to see how much time Dodaligo pulls back here and if that will be enough. And I don't believe it will. I believe that Aston Martin just does not quite have the pace to keep up with the Red Bull, as Bamboo Vegas obviously struggling with the wing damage back there in P4, the current championship leader, going to be looking to potentially profit off a potential Jonah or Dodaligo mistake, as that the back light blinking on that Williams car deployed a lot of VRS early and may struggle to keep pace with the Aston Martin.
Yeah, as Belgium has just made a great move coming out of full-on into the chicane, going around the outside of Pizza for P7, so he's trying to restore his race at this point.
Good move from the Mercedes. He's gonna have a lot of work to do if he wants to catch up to Worried Cloud with a 12-second gap with just about 2 laps to go. But with these 2 laps to go, Jonah, I believe, making potentially a mistake, as the gap is now fairly big from the Aston Martin back to the Williams. But Dodaligo able to keep that gap relatively the same for now. It's gone up to about 1.8 seconds now. 1.92 seconds. So that Red Bull likely running a fair bit more downforce than the Aston Martin behind, who's going to be looking to keep within that 3-second gap between the two cars to potentially have another win be taken away from Kruner due to penalties. As a similar thing happened in Jeddah back in round 2, where a 5-second penalty ended up changing the race winner by just a few hundredths of a second.
Yeah, it looks like Dodaligo is sticking in this 3-second gap to actually try and go for P1. Jonah's already out, as he's 6 seconds behind Kruner at this point, so he's not in contention anymore for P1 or P2.
And here we go as we start this last lap of the Belgian Grand Prix. It's a 2.2 second gap from Kruner back to Dodaligo. Keep in mind that gap in the top left hand of your screen as we go through the 7-kilometer lap of Spa-Francorchamps. That's plenty of time for Kruner to be able to pull out those 7/10 he needs to potentially win this race. The gap coming down is the Aston Martin very strong on this back straight. Very, very comfortable from the Red Bull in clean air.
Yeah. But mistakes are also still possible to make, as Dodaligo just spins round
as Dodaligo is round. And that's something that the Williams of Formula Jonah and the Haas of Bamboo Vegas will look to take full advantage of, as that'll be devastating for the Aston Martin, who's running so well up in P2 and has had some great moves on some of these drivers. He's going to be looking to claw back about 7/10 to potentially retain a spot on the podium, as he runs a little bit wide at No Name and taps the wall. But that almost certainly means that Kruner will win this race.
Yeah, that might have been the commentator's curse at best again, as I was just about to say that mistakes aren't too uncommon around this 7-kilometer lap, of course.
As we come now down through Blanchimont for the final time, it's an 8-second gap from Kruner back to P2 of Formula Jonah, but he's run brilliantly after having an awful sprint in which he finished 7th. Kruner will win the Belgian Grand Prix for Red Bull and will almost assuredly retake the lead of the driver, and may have just retaken the lead of the Drivers' Championship. After finishing first place last time out in Miami, it's Formula Jonah that finishes P2 in Williams, and Bamboo Vegas, after being caught up in some early incidents, will come home to finish P3. Dodaligo, after that late spin on that final lap, will finish in P4. Speedy Gunner, after having some major challenges, is coming from the back of the grid with no custom setup, will finish P5 after starting from the back of the grid in P13. Then it'll be Worried Cloud, followed by Elgem, who sadly had the strategy errors there towards the end. and it will be Pizza who will round out these 8 finishers in that McLaren. Very good race from all the drivers.
Yeah, as Dodolingo and Speedy Gunner actually made up 8 positions that race to actually finish in P4 and P5.
Very, very
Kruner made up
impressive.
5, went from P6 to P1.
Very impressive from the drivers. As we go to the podium ceremony now, Oz Kruner, driver of the day for this feature race. Taking a look at the podium, as the Red Bull driver will come now through the tunnel to win that race. I accidentally hit X on my controller, so there that goes. But it's Kruner that takes the most points out of the weekend with a total of 29 points. Formula Jonah is second total on points with 25, taking 7 from the sprint and 18 from the race, finishing in second in both. Bamboo Vegas finishing third in that Haas, concedes, and which means the gap between Kruner in the Red Bull and Bamboo Vegas in the Haas is now 5 points in Kruner's favor. Dodoligo, with a very critical mistake late on in that race, will finish on fourth with 12. Pizza and Speedy Gunner both finishing with 10 points. Worried Cloud finishing with 9 after picking up the 1 in the sprint, even though that shows as fastest lap. L-Gem finishes with 6 points, as Alexis Beast finishes with 5 points, Viperize with 4, and Yeah Boring with 2. Very great sprint and feature race to experience around the beautiful Spa-Francorchamps circuit. A very good race. And there's your sprint results and your race results. So, again, very good race from Kruner. Very good of him to recover after having some major incidents in the sprint race. Great for him to be able to keep his head and be able to come back to win that race. Any thoughts, Husky?
I enjoyed it watching it. I would have enjoyed it more, of course, racing it, but after the DNF, it's fun actually commentating with you and having this experience now.
Of course, definitely good. Definitely good to have you in here as well.
Like I said, commentator's curse working at his finest, as I said, somehow cursed to the Lego at the end.
Yeah. Certainly a disappointing outcome. We'll leave that Aston Martin driver wanting more, but certainly frustrating for the driver. I believe that will do it, unless we are doing any interviews. I don't believe we will be. We can certainly have interviews. Let me just check with that real quick. Speedy apparently jinxed Pete earlier on in the race as well, so certainly commentators not being the only one cursing people here and there.
Yeah, I don't think this will turn into a video. I'll see. Maybe for comedic purpose.
Yeah, I think we may end the stream there. It doesn't seem like we're going to get interviews, but certainly thank you to all of you for joining here this afternoon or this evening, depending on where you might be. I do hope you have a great rest of your day wherever you are. Let's at least see if we can pull. Certainly we can pull Jonah in.
Yeah, I have invited him already to the party if you want to.
Yeah, because he's... So yeah, Jonah certainly is looking to join in. Let's see. Figuring this out on the fly. Should have the invite. So he should be coming in fairly shortly. Joan has been added. Yeah, Joan is the only only of the podium finishers that I believe we have still here.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, so there he is. There's the second place driver.
There he
Jonah,
is.
certainly a very interesting race. Second in the sprint, second in the feature race. And definitely a lot of up and downs for you in that one.
Yeah, it was an interesting race. It kind of worked out for me. I felt that I had a lot of pace. I wasn't really sure how the weekend was going to go because I got to be honest with you guys, I wasn't really sure on my setup. But I was happy how it turned out. Belgium was an interesting race, I got to say. The sprint race was a very intense one. There was a few incidents, I think, so we kind of just went around them kind of thing and just did the best we could, really. So that's kind of my take on the race.
Of course, and after winning last time out in Miami, a pair of P2s certainly sounds good.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'll take any podium position. It's quite fun to be up here, and yeah, I think it's been a great last two races, and honestly, can't wait for Hungary, which is in 2 weeks.
Ooh, yeah, of course.
For sure. Yeah, don't know if you have any question there, Husky, that you might be looking to
No,
throw in there.
I'm okay. I know what's been going on before IDNF, and of course been talking with Jonah beforehand. So
Of course. But yeah, very, very good race from you, Jonah, and congratulations for that. And then, so
Thank you.
Speedy Gunner in here, who went from 13th to 5th there and had some solid showings. Believe you are echoing. But certainly,
Sorry, I'll turn down my microphone. I've had issues
fucking
with
hell.
this.
yeah. But yeah, just a couple words on your Speedy. Obviously, you had the issue with your charger earlier on. That meant that you couldn't be here for the one-shot qualifying or for the sprint. But certainly, you had a good showing in the feature.
Yeah, with no setup, I was surprised that I was able to get past cars. The setup I was running, I guess before the set, had a lot of cornering pace, so I was able to get a good jump off the corners on the many restarts we had, and having Jonah, Husky, Elgin in the party really kept my spirits up because they are funny guys. Husky left to come join you, of course. And it was definitely an amazing show, and I'm probably going to keep my George Russell streak up even more.
All right, very much looking forward to that, and definitely be going to be looking forward to seeing you in 2 weeks at Hungary.
I'm still not sure if I'll show up for Hungary because it's not my best suited track, so
Alright.
I'll try and show up. I'll try
Yeah,
and
of
get
course.
practice in because, of course, we have extra week.
Yep,
But with everything restarting up for me, it's going to definitely be a little harder.
of course. But yeah, for sure going to be looking forward to seeing you back after a very solid showing here in Spa. But yeah, for those of you still here, we'll likely not have any streams next weekend, as we do have a break week next week. So be sure to subscribe to LSR here on YouTube so that you're notified for when we do go back live in 2 weeks for the Hungarian Grand Prix on, I believe that would be Saturday the 20th, or Saturday the 17th. So that would be Saturday, September 17th, when we go live again with Group 1 at Hungary. So, very much hoping...
And
go
if
for
people
it.
that are here haven't already, please go watch the race we did yesterday as well at Canada, as that was just some chaos.
Yes, of course. But thank you for joining. I hope you have a great rest of your day, wherever you might be. And have a good one.